This is not Let's go ahead and get started.
Sorry. What was the other concern? Yeah, and I think we should probably look into. I could try to do some research, but you guys are pretty sharp with. Are there any regulations having construction so close to, the creek, for instance? Not to be a nudge, but I mean, we should probably really look into that because there may be an issue with having it literally within 18 inches of like the creek. So yeah, I think we should really legitimately look into that and see if that's a problem. And then of course there's also the possibility of exploring other options, possible leases of more advantageous area. But given that the bridges and infrastructure can handle equipment as mentioned in here. So I mean that should be something. We'll probably have to address all those concerns too during the meeting. So
Okay, so last meeting, I didn't bring up the thing to the planning commission, where, hey, planning commission, go investigate these items, because I thought we were wanting to have more discussion.
yeah.
And so that could be an element of this as well.
Yeah. Again, I mean, we're in no rush to really approve any, because no offense, but I mean, we just did get this agenda last night. So it's like, there are going to be some folks on Olathe that will probably be here maybe at 7. Maybe they got a chance to look at it, the agenda, and they're probably going to want to put some input into, I mean, they're not going to be done there for a hot minute. So, I mean, we still have time to discuss, like, policy. I don't know how you feel about that, but I mean, we do have a minute.
What I was thinking, okay, there's something quick and easy, we can modify this, we'll write it down and vote on it in a meeting. If it's quick and easy. If it's things like, okay, we're gonna look at, say, impacts to waterways. Cleanup could be a simple one sentence.
Yeah.
That we could add to this and vote on it and done. But if we're wanting to research impact to waterways,
Yeah.
that would probably take some time.
We'll still have to table it. We got a minute. Yeah. So we'll just,
I just think we're kind of flogging this thing on and on. The issue wasn't just this issue, it was people leaving construction materials there for months at a time.
Yeah.
For no purpose other than, oh, this is a good place to leave it.
rock piles of stuff. Yeah.
And crush culvert and
Yep.
lesson culvert and all that stuff that just sat there. That's, this is kind of like an ongoing issue. This particular issue that was brought here, everybody voted on it, everybody had their say. So what are we doing here? That thing's not gonna get moved.
No,
Yeah.
and then, well, the other thing is if everyone's saying, okay, we're beating a dead horse, we can just drop it.
I just don't see what, you're saying here basically is that, well, we'll look at it. If we're gonna use it, we're gonna use it.
Well, this is
Mm.
intended to say. We try not to use down here exclusively.
Well, there was never any exclusivity for that.
Yeah.
There's nowhere written where it says we will exclusively use this piece of property.
Yeah.
It was never said.
Yeah. I think one of the concerns is like, we'll probably, if another construction project comes up, defend Olathe. But what happens in the next administration when we're not here? Or the next one after that, you know what I mean? And it's like, and then nobody fights for him.
There was people on the board that defended Olathe and it got voted on.
Yeah.
And we pressed on. What do you do?
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing is obviously with management and everything, you guys are gonna, if there's a culvert there, I mean, I'm sure in the future, we probably won't have one there for like a year or 18 months just sitting there rotting and falling apart,
One would hope so, but that was his last.
yeah.
It was brought up, it was discussed, and there was a lot of shrugging and
Yeah.
oh wells and.
We'll just have to execute.
We do believe we can use the area behind. For something.
Okay.
What's that? I'm
There's
sorry.
always-
The area behind town hall.
There's always
Okay.
options, and I think one of the problems was there were options. Even though it was said that there were no other options, there were other options that I know of.
Yeah.
But by the time it gets to us, it's like, well, take it or leave it.
Yeah.
So. I think proactively, if we can discuss other options before it's put in front of us,
Right.
maybe that would. Be able to pull things down a little bit.
Hey, what were some of those options that you had seen?
I'm not gonna talk about that particular issue
Okay.
because that ended up turning into like a bone of contention
Yeah.
that didn't have to happen, but it did anyway.
Out of curiosity, Mayor, how much area do we have behind the town hall here? You're talking about this, not down on, yeah. How much aggregate and rock and stuff? Yeah.
Very tightly squeeze in the grader if we had to
Yeah.
get it out of the way, but not much more, but there is a little bit of space there. I think that the other thing that has occurred since, the approval of the CSU project was that our yard is considerably cleaner. There's quite a bit more room in the public works area and those materials are able to be stored there.
Okay.
We do run into some space constraints and want to make sure that there's always enough room to have, a couple of pieces of equipment working in there at any one time. So we'll have to be very selective, but I think that there was a lot of stuff being stored that was no longer useful and didn't need to be there.
Okay.
And that has since been addressed.
And again, not to be a dead horse, but what do you assume the dimensions to be back there? Like a 20 by 40, 20, 30 by 50, 20 by 40?
15, I'd say 15.
Okay.
I think it
Okay.
should be said too, that CSU's problem is not our problem.
Right. Well, Right.
We gave them permission to be there. We didn't have to do that. It's their problem.
Yeah. We could have explored some options, I think.
Wow.
I regret-
We made it our problem.
Yeah. No, that's true.
It's certainly not their problem anymore.
So with this one, how would you like to proceed? You can certainly, we do have it on your agenda tonight. We can table it with these considerations to be included, or
I mean, again, there's some research to be had, right? We're gonna have to, I think that it is responsible to see what's up with the water situation. It is right up against the creek and we're in Colorado. I'd be very surprised if there isn't some sort of regulatory thing that we're totally just breaking. That CSU maybe even track it because that's their business is water. So, I mean, we should probably,
Go ask them.
yeah.
Or to your point, you just want to drop it and next time.
Are we solving the problem? That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
Are we solving the problem?
I think if we don't talk about it and actually come up with some sort of viable thing, we just kind of, the folks on Olathe won't, I'm sure they'll sleep fine, but they won't be thrilled. So, I mean, we should probably still,
Is this fixing anything? That's what I'm asking.
well, I mean,
Is this fixing something?
I think that it depends on your perspective of it, right? It's like, does it, because we're conscious of it a little bit more now, because we've got some killer staff here that like will make sure a culvert will not be disintegrating out there maybe any longer because it's been brought up. And you know what I mean? I mean, it's worth the conversation so that these folks can be a little bit more comfortable and know that at least like we're conscious about it. Again, my only concern is it's not with us, but like when we're gone, I hope that the next folks listen to the citizens in that area, I mean, I'm sure we will, but
What I'm hearing is maybe investigate impact of waterways. There's cleaning up.
Must be part of any site plan, right?
They really should.
yeah,
Anytime you're gonna utilize anything, if somebody's gonna build a house there, they'd have to impact, what's the impact of the waterway?
it's very true.
I mean, it seems like a no-brainer for sure.
Yeah,
In addition to that, it sounds like, that a decision to use that area needs to come before the board.
Do we, it'd
Well, it
probably
did
be
before.
It was,
before, yeah, we actually voted on it. And
yeah,
go
Well-
here and go here.
yeah, no, but, I mean, I think this particular project is not like, does not encompass everything we're talking about.
Yeah.
As far as how that particular area has been used.
I think
It's been used and abused.
yeah, I think we had a couple of lessons we've learned between the Silly Basin debacle and this debacle that, if we have a little bit of time to slow down, and it's not like we find out on a Friday evening that we're voting for, and we have CSU, maybe, I think we're probably gonna be asking some more questions.
And
In the
then there's
future.
Time, to try to get through the rest. of the
Sure.
Work session items.
So we're gonna table, so basically, I mean, we're still discussing this.
So, but what needs to come back in front of the board, that's what I'm trying to get focused on here.
Impact,
Impact to waterways and cleaning up and for cleaning right away areas.
and how long something can really sit there for. We're gonna have to
I think
execute
that
and,
falls under cleaning right away.
Yeah, okay.
Because it's-
that's fine, yeah, you're right.
That's like.
Right.
I mean, if it's not just an automatic, this is where we leave stuff,
Yeah, right.
I think that would help. Because there have been things that could have been placed somewhere else.
Right. Again, behind the town hall, I mean, as long as there's some solutions to the problems we're addressing right now, like, I think that's probably, we could fit culverts back there temporarily, blah, 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 blah.
It comes from just being a given that that's where things go.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah.
Like you say old culverts, rocks.
So, again, though, be able to keep moving. We're gonna bring staff's gonna take this and add in something on impacts to waterways You're cleaning up.
Clean up.
Being right away.
Right.
And then we'll table it for the night. And then when that's incorporated, we'll bring it back in front of the board.
Yeah, it'd be cool if we could, before the agenda comes out, like, a few days before the meeting, like maybe as soon as you guys have that squared away, maybe send it to us so we can at least look at it, maybe a couple weeks out or something, just to make,
I'm glad you brought that up because that was the recommendation from Judy to Bo is just update.
Correspondence.
right, cool. All right. Especially on some of the hot topics from the agendas, like if you guys could kick that out even a little earlier,
Yes.
that would be great. Okay. Cool, cool.
Just making sure that it's sent out, that it's blind copied, they'll
Okay.
be blind copied on them. Like, feel free to ask us the staff questions that you might have.
Cool.
How did you arrive at that conclusion, right? Like,
Okay.
those types of things, but, please refrain from
And
discussing.
not to digress, and I'm sorry, because I know you want to move on, but just even legal stuff, even stuff that just like, so again, 3 days before, a couple days before we, can get our eyes on.
Yeah. Okay, so the next item was the memo from the planning commission.
Mhm.
The memo from the board to the planning commission. Yeah, to the planning commission from board. Like I said, I kept this out. We did not vote on that. I know it's been brought up in a couple of meetings. It did not get voted on because I thought I heard we wanted to talk more. Really worse than, so. If we're okay with this, we can just vote on it in the meeting. So, planning commission. Go get us some information.
Right.
Okay. Okay, this ordinance for the horses, planning commission did make some recommendations. The attorneys came back with a version. As I was looking at the version, I saw requirements in two different places. And so there's actually two versions. And even version number 2 needs some strike throughs because there's some working things that are not quite right
Yeah.
about it.
So we probably won't be actually voting on that
Well,
again
we
today.
could strike, they're easy strike throughs.
Well, I'm gonna just throw it out there that I don't have any dogs, for instance, but I know people who have more than 2. I think that's kind of jacked up. Don't mind the horses and the guinea pigs and or whatever the heck, the ferrets and the 3 potbelly pigs, random stuff. But the dog thing, I think, is kind of, I mean, we are in America.
The intent of this is to prevent illegal puppy and catteries, those types of.
Yeah,
things.
totally tracking. I get that. But like maybe if we actually have a problem with that in Green Mountain Falls at some point, maybe we address that, but again, I know a lot of,
The impacts that it has on neighboring properties, and I can tell you stories about the impacts to neighbors from too many cats in the house.
I totally know, I totally understand. I know there's like cat hoarders out there, just have 50 cats in a 800 square foot house. But I mean, until we maybe run into that problem in Green Mountain Falls, that there's been significant complaints. I'm just worried because I doubt that a majority of the citizens here in Green Mountain Falls would agree with that. And I want to represent them. So
Complaints of barking dogs from the marshal's office. It happens pretty frequently.
yeah.
Those types of impacts to neighbors. Those are all reasons why.
Are they getting any citations out of curiosity? Like, for, hey, there's noise violations?
A barking dog complaint that turned into high-speed pursuit.
I mean, that's a shame that happened. But again, it's, I know people with more dogs.
Are we trying to solve a problem there that really
Exists or doesn't exist? I think we should be careful with that. All I'm saying is I do know a lot of folks that have more than 2 dogs, and it's not like a mess. They're not getting any complaints. I know that much because I've had conversations about that.
That's have addressed that, having more than what is allowed in your code by right, is to allow them to have more than, a permit for additional animals should they want to. That ends up being, with that, you have the ability to revoke that privilege, should it be abused.
Can we possibly, I mean, I don't know how you guys, I don't know how the rest of Kat, Sean, Mayor, I don't know how the rest of you guys feel, but again, until there's like a viable issue here in Green Mountain Falls, do we have to just,
Okay, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think you're trying to solve a problem that we really don't have.
Don't
right
even-
now. Got
yeah.
a problem with the horses.
yes, yeah.
That is a viable-
That's something we should probably focus on, and then the other stuff, we could always add to at some point when there's a problem with the horses. What do you want to?
We go through the same process. We go through here. We get it.
Okay, so horses though, because I mean, now we're talking about big livestock. We're not talking about dogs and stuff. And I'm sorry, I know you probably put a lot of work into like the dogs and the cats and the potbelly pigs and all that stuff, but maybe we just focus on the horses, at least for just tonight.
No, let's just focus on the horses. Okay,
Yeah.
so the first version.
Here,
Yeah.
that, that's this horse part.
Mhm.
The rest of it.
Yeah, this is where they had some number here, and then if you go down to the definition, they had another, they had the same, supposedly same number, and I question that.
And most of this came up because of the adoption of the new land use code. There was just really inconsistencies between the town's regular municipal code and the land use code. This cleans that up.
Okay.
And then originally what came back was, okay, basically, and legal wordsmith that first paragraph, but what came back from the planning commission was an exception for open space district in those first two items. So you have to have 2.5 acres and 1,500 square feet per acre.
And 10-foot setbacks for fences and stuff like that.
10-foot setbacks. Now they decided to just exclude that for open space, which is okay. But when it gets to the numbers in two different locations, and after talking to the applicant a little bit more, could we go to the option 2? Yeah, so scroll up. So what it does is the horses as permitted in that section 122. So that's, you gotta have 1,500 square foot per animal.
Right.
Okay. And again, the exclusion for the setback on the fence for the open space. Go to 6-122 full though. Okay, here's where we'd have to have the strike through. They didn't get the strike through. For this section shall not apply to horses in open space. It would just be one requirement for 1,500 square foot per animal. So you have 2.5 acres and 1,500 square foot per animal. And an open space, you wouldn't have to have a setback.
Okay.
So we'd have to do that. And then also we probably want to strike corral or pen and just say suitable fenced enclosure. Because if you cut up the corral, now there's that. And really all we're after is the enclosure.
So the enclosure for 2 horses would have to be 3,000 square feet. An acre is 49,000 square feet. So you still have to have, 100,000 square feet and a corral of 3,000 square feet.
Yeah.
Okay.
1,500 square foot per animal seem to suit the fence out
All right.
much better.
Okay.
But we would want to say strike through that thing says this section shall not apply.
Right.
It would apply to open space, and we'd also want to strike through corral or pen. And we could actually do a first reading on that.
Exactly. So to adopt this ordinance, we would need to introduce it tonight. We'll have to notice the public hearing for adoption. That'll have to happen twice. It'll be 15 days and then 8 days prior to the next board meeting. And then the ordinance would become effective 30 days after.
Now, out of curiosity, is this what the standard is for most, municipalities, counties and stuff like that? That's a 1,500 square foot per.
But we've had.
Okay.
That's what was originally in the code.
Okay.
Actually, it was in the rewrite that was done in August of 20.
Okay. And nobody ever had any problem with this? No.
So I understand the horses that were here before that 2-horse limit was because they were grandfathered in. It was essentially grandfathered in. They were the last horses that were in the residential area. It's unlikely that most people would have the amount of space.
Yeah.
On a residential
So
property.
the first requirement is they'd have to have 2.5 acres. And then 1,500 square feet per acre.
Hmm.
And then if they're residential, they have to set the fence back 10 foot. Then it's to keep them from grazing on neighbors.
Yeah, gotcha. So, okay.
Was there a version of this that you all preferred?
My personal preference is option 2. With the 2 strike throughs.
That was was it
This one.
this 6/122? Okay. Yeah.
Strike throughs were.
Corral or pen, yeah.
In that last sentence. So it would basically,
So we wouldn't have to mention anything about a corral or pen to like keep them from grazing on other people's
that would be the 10-foot setback from the, if they're in a residential. If it's a zoned open space, they can go right to the end of the property line.
Okay.
And then go ahead and scroll down and see how they, but this also includes. Both of them include an update to 3.1. Where it's a accessory use for horse keeping. And then keep scrolling. We struck out the line in animal shelter and then horse keeping, basically customary incident.
This includes-
That's swelling and meeting the applicable requirements of chapter 6, article 6 of the Fremont.
Right.
Health Code.
Okay. Okay, so if we vote on this, will it, right? But are we taking out the doggies, potbelly pigs and ferrets and stuff?
I'd say that
Well, so what do you mean by becoming a problem?
not a
Come
problem.
in and ask.
Well, do you really think people are gonna come to you and rat themselves out? I'm sorry, Bo, what was that? Yeah,
So let's see if we got it.
We-
I'd like to try to address the application.
more people own dogs than they do horses in this town. So all I'm saying is, there's ferrets. Yeah, not exactly. You can have up to 4. So here's the thing. Again, and not to beat a dead horse, but I mean, personally, I want to vote for everything else. We get to the board meeting. I'm not gonna, we can't just leave that out until it literally is a problem where there's dogs and cats living together in harmony and bunnies and ferrets and puppy pigs.
Without, dogs and cats, I would think we'd want to go out with a lot more education and awareness. Because
So we're the authority on dogs and cats. So I don't know. Again, it's going to affect a lot of people. There are people, I'm telling you right now, that don't have problems with dogs and cats making noise, smells, that have more than 2 dogs.
It's not a problem, it's not a problem.
That's what I'm saying. So can we,
Can we just move on with this and not?
well, why? Because it's going to be legally binding if,
It already is.
yeah,
You're
so,
already in violation if you got 4 dogs.
right.
Somebody would like to come in and make a case to have more animals, that would be, that then would give you the problem that you would solve.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Don't try to go solve a problem that hasn't come into us yet. Yeah.
I mean, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to raise a fuss about it, they have the legal backing. to
That's what I'm
do
saying,
so, and
yeah.
the Person with more than 2 dogs doesn't have
Yeah.
recourse
Everything else is-
like this.
Yeah.
You're fine.
Well, they would have to come in and basically request a update to the code.
Right.
Would be go through the same process.
But still risk ratting themselves out and then having their dogs taken away from them or getting fined every month if anybody wanted to enforce it.
Yeah, just keep getting dog
Yeah.
licenses in.
Okay.
I don't want to mess with them. No. I just want to deal with the horse problem.
Right? And we're, you
That
know,
nobody owns,
ours. We're not forcing.
not us, but like I said, we're not going to be here forever.
It's were to happen, and you know, if a dog were to bite somebody and the marshal's office got involved, and that would give you all to be able to help with the situation.
There's lots
Yeah.
of issues.
Yeah,
So,
there sure.
but that would be my consensus. If we do the strike throughs and use options.
No, yeah, I mean, I think if there's an owner who owns more than 2 dogs. And they should probably bring it to us. And we should discuss how we can. I don't want anybody getting beat over the head.
Yeah.
because right,
Well, that's my point.
But
Yeah, it
as
would
it
be
is-
crappy.
which I agree.
Yeah. Because then in theory, they'd have to, some people are really, again, I don't have any dogs, but some people are, they're my children.
No, I get it. And I think that having this known that this is in the code as it sits, that if there's somebody who wants to address that, then I think they can bring that to us to be addressed before it's an issue. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, probably won't have anybody doing that. If they have 4 dogs.
Someone that's probably gonna come to us and say, I want a kennel.
Well,
I know of one person that's gonna come in. and ask for a kennel.
for what?
For a
That's
kennel.
Business license issue though, right?
It's kind of a rescue-ish, I would say, busy business type of thing.
Mm,
Yeah,
And rescues even fall under, it was still fall under a business model.
yeah.
yeah.
We used to have a neighbor that rehabbed raccoons.
Oh.
I.
And then she just let go of the blues.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't want.
One of my friends for.
It is, it's somewhere that you can apply for a special use permit.
Yeah,
To get,
I think it's right there, isn't it?
For kennel type stuff you're talking about.
so, animals otherwise prohibited may be allowed by special use permit.
Commercial.
in town.
Yeah.
For this section. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
But that doesn't allow somebody to come and say, hey, we have puppies, I want to keep one. Right? And this is how I'm going to mitigate any impacts to my neighbors.
yeah,
And you guys can say, okay, right,
Chickens.
or chickens, or goats.
yeah.
You should have heard planning commission talk about chickens.
Yeah.
It was a thing.
I'm sure.
Just no roosters, right?
Yeah.
I think you can have chickens, right? Just not roosters. No?
Somebody had chickens. The foxes had their wings. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet. And raccoons, yeah.
When I was a kid, mine. I had to go to the town.
Oh,
Everything was- They're up on the chicken
Yeah,
coop.
lion kill under-
Yeah, we're gonna make Roadkill Express on the side of my truck.
Yeah. That was ripe. All right. Well,
Yes, it was right.
all right. So we'll stick with 2 dogs. And no tigers. All right.
Just say go get another one.
Yeah. Hopefully she doesn't semi-bury it under the same.
So option 2. Going with option 2.
Yeah,
Everybody likes option 2. All right.
If I could get a copy of that, option 2, I'll strike it through and I'll read it as our first reading.
Mm,
Okay. Other agenda items. Margaret Peterson's gonna come in, basically want to set some signs out for Church of Wildwood parking, whatever.
Is that across the street? Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Yeah, that's cool.
Can I bring something up since
Yeah.
we're talking about that?
Yeah.
I know we've had some discussion about, well, this was some time ago about, speed bumps, but what about just painting a, pedestrian walkway there by the church?
The one.
It's not a bad idea.
Maybe there's.
I think there was one.
There was
there.
one.
Just faded.
So I will say that we put in a couple of new spots this year, and we need to put one in by gazebo or by the lake there. Anytime you do a crosswalk that's not in that specific area, there is model uniform traffic control signs that should accompany it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, we do need to bring the stripers back in to finish up, what was not accomplished because of the Stealing Bases project. We could certainly add one in there, but I think that we'll want to know what those requirements for those model uniform traffic control signs are. Usually they're the flashy signs that show pedestrian stuff on. And those are for pedestrian safety. So there, I think that there could be
Hmm.
a little bit of issue putting them up without some additional control measures. If we're inviting people to cross there, people aren't used to it.
We probably ought to run that through planning commission.
Yeah, and I'm just bringing it up. I'm not suggesting that we solve it today.
We want to bring it, send that.
I think so, yeah, because, and I think the majority of hikers are heading up Hondo, so, that they could use that crosswalk as well.
Yeah, it'd be good to bring up. I'm a big no on flashing lights, but we'll figure that one out when we. Yeah, that would be. I don't think that's a requirement. Yeah, I think it's just a sign. Yeah, yeah. We had a conversation, you and I, about all that fancy schmancy architectural kind of medians that slow people down. So I think the long run, I mean, I know, I know Mike was talking about speed bumps and stuff throughout the town, but there's stuff that I've been seeing down in Manitou, for instance, what they did to control the flow of traffic, to slow people down. And like Becky and I were talking about that, like inevitably maybe try and get like a grant for, streetscaping, just so, because I know I pick up Eden down at that bus stop there, and man, I see some colorful characters flying through there, and it's nuts. So I think that's important.
When we do the planning commission right away, we also say, oh, by the way, planning commission, we want you to
Mhm.
investigate.
What, streetscaping,
Traffic calming.
traffic calming, streetscaping? Yeah.
But we can do that. There's something we probably do need to touch on before the meeting, and that's that tree removal at Flagpole Park.
Right.
And then we also got the
Confirmation.
well, the shades,
Yeah.
Mhm.
the shades. So, yeah.
Okay, so tree,
Tree removal.
Coming down.
I don't know if they're gonna show up tonight, but I know the guys who are buying the flags have shredded several.
Yeah.
of them.
yeah, Dragon, yeah.
And, we could lop one side of the tree off. It'd be ugly.
Nah, take it down,
We could.
right? Anybody got a problem with that? Take it down, come up with more landscaping.
Are you kidding? Have you seen Facebook with just?
Yeah, a lot of-
With the 4 disease trees by the post office.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They're crazy.
The mistletoe trees.
Yeah,
Yeah, they were pretty supportive of it.
yeah.
So,
I mean, again, we can do landscaping, we can do something to improve the area. Yeah,
So that's coming up. I don't want to make a decision now. So that's coming up. Thank you. The shades for the
Fitness court.
fitness court. What's that under?
oh, that's it's page,
Is that the PRC?
It's page like 28 or something.
Fitness court?
Yeah.
That's the MOU.
Okay,
And the it's on page 19 in your packet.
yep,
Oh, that's-
19, 9, yeah,
Page-
20.
yeah, so that's something else that's coming up tonight.
It's cool. I mean, we don't really incur a lot of costs. It's a lot of stuff is warranty.
I asked Jesse specifically if there's gonna be any recurring or non-recurring costs.
Yeah.
We did add in the MOU, some language there, and this is actually just modifying the MOU that was created for the, fitness court. We copied some of the language that was in there to, for the town responsibilities, which would be spraying, installation and winterization and storage of the shade sails, I cannot say that word. And a schedule for monitoring the sails for maintenance and safety. And then we added language for the shade cells under the responsibilities of the electric, which would be installation of the sails and any required supported structure.
Storage too, right?
Well,
That's us.
if they want to store them, that's fine too, but we can help get them up and take them down annually. But then agree to allow GM to request reimbursements for maintenance expenses to repair or maintain the sails for items not covered under
Right.
warranty.
And they're gonna be like a desert kind of tan coyote color. I think it did say in here, I think we're responsible for storage of it. I think we are. The other thing I saw in there too, and I don't know where the heck it is, it was something maybe perhaps in regards to us reporting to them about landscaping and stuff for the area. I mean, do we have to report to anybody about that pool park, as they call it?
Well, yeah, certainly report to Sursa, we're audited.
Right, Sursa, tracking that. I'm talking about.
Parks,
Maintenance plan.
A maintenance plan?
Safety audit. all of each So, that's one of the things that we need to have documented anyways regularly for Sursa. And it will help to score and report points.
So, okay, here's where it is. This is for the memorandum of understanding. It says town of GMF support of fitness court. Section F is provide a plan to KFF to manage ongoing upkeep and maintenance of the park, plus priorities for future improvements and upgrades to pool park grounds, plus recreation and restroom facilities. I mean, another track.
You're looking under paragraph F, and that's something. that
Yeah.
We've already, the town's already agreed to and signed up to.
That the town that we provide them our plan of essentially.
That was part of the vision that was signed under the previous board.
Okay. Is it our park? I'm just out of curiosity. I mean, that's our park, right?
Yeah, it's a gift.
Okay.
That's our part, we would own the shade sale.
Okay. All right. But any maintenance to the grounds, we have to clear it through.
We don't clear it, we just want to make sure that the area is being
Maintain. Okay.
It's supposed to be. Anyway.
Okay.
So, and I did send a draft of this to Jesse and he was good with it. So.
Yes, and it does say we're responsible for storage.
Yeah, I think it's storage. Yeah.
And I imagine with those shade sales, got it that time. Been struggling with it all week, I better not fix it.
I think we call them shales.
Shales, I anticipate that they'll be able to be rolled up or folded nicely.
Yeah, right.
And they're not gonna.
They're gonna be super massive. So where do we want to put them?
They're gonna go with mezzanine up above Public Works.
Okay. All right.
Not a mezzanine.
Yeah. A loft, right? Okay. All right. All right.
Do I have to read this whole ordinance, or is it just
The ordinance portion of it should be read. I'll find that.
The whereas part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have the whereas part on the page.
whereas the town wishes to modify regulation of horses, especially as it relates to horses in the open space, now therefore be it ordained, chapter 6. Section 78 shall be amended to read as follows, and then I'll have to do section. Chapter 6, article 6 of the town of Green Mountain Falls.
what is
Chapter
it?
12.
What page is that? On here, let's see.
And section 6, so I need to flag these. Of
The town wishes to modify regulations. Section
1, 2, section 3, section 4.
We need to get them cleaned up with the tracking off of it, let's post a version of it to the website.
Um,
Right. Yeah. Well, we need the actual language to be able to do this.
What will A7 read?
Which one?
Horses 2 for all zoning districts except for open space district, blank for the open space district. What the heck is? It's in red. A7. Limit number of animals, horses 2 for all zoning districts, for the open space district.
Hang on, I'm still red line on the original.
Okay.
Setting closer.
Description.
Oh. But we don't have to have those 30 days.
Then we need to see if we wanna meet again in June, since we're not meeting the first of July.
Okay.
Our next meeting would actually be. Okay, well.
Anything else?
A,
A7, I didn't, I'm kind of an idiot looking at this. Right here, I'll just show you, right here. What was this? Horses 2 for all zoning district. It was blank, and I don't know if that's something that they've filled in yet.
horses,
2, yeah, horses.
Horses as
2
permitted.
for all zoning as permitted for the open
horses
space.
as permitted By section 1-22.
Okay, I got you now. Okay.
See, I'm gonna be reading a lot of these sections, so just bear with me. folks.
Mm. Are you reading that whole thing?
I'm just reading the section, paragraphs, so like section 2.
Right.
Amended as follows, I'll have to read.
Not the
when I get to
article.
Section 2, I'll have to reread, section 6-122 in full.
Okay. All right. Do we have a couple of minutes before we,
Got a couple minutes, I'm gonna refill my water and.
God, I hydrated so much.
Anybody need anything? Not unless you make it me.
You guys could vote.
Yourself a permit.
A couple of things
Hi, Carolyn, how are you?
Yeah,
Seems like you can hear me okay.
yes, I can hear you just fine, thank you.
Great. Are you seeing my screen share?
I see a picture of of the wall.
Oh, okay, let me try my screen share again. Thank you.
Are we still working tech? Okay, before I do the old gavel stuff. I think we're good. Okay, I got 7:01. Let's go ahead and call this meeting to order. Tech check, we're doing pretty good. We're missing one trustee tonight is absent, so, trustee King, and if you would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we do have some changes to our agenda. We are going to table item 5D, staging policy. We decided to add try to investigate impacts to waterways and keeping the areas clean. And so we'll take that back, rewrite it, and then represent it to the board. So we'll table item 5D. Also, item 5K and L will get moved to reports because the person reporting kind of got called away, and we may get them late, we may not. So we'll go ahead and move those to section 8. Do we have any other changes or additions? And if not, I'd entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the agenda as amended.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. We approve the agenda as amended. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, moving on to item 3, our consent agenda. Our minutes from the May 2nd meeting. Are there any corrections or additions? If none, I'd entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the minutes from May 2nd, 2023.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. We approve the minutes from the May 2nd meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, moving on to public comment. I know we got one person who's already has signed up, so that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, just make sure the blue light's on when you're talking.
Okay.
Margaret, if you could state your name and address for the record,
Absolutely.
that would be great. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Margaret Peterson, 10795 Belvedere Avenue, Green Mountain Falls, and I'm here representing the Church in the Wildwood. And I'm just doing a quick little presentation. If you don't mind, I'm going to read what I wrote. And then I may add some things just in case. But just parking is really important to Church in the Wildwood community in the summertime, as the amount of overall outdoor activity and the amount of residents attending church increases. The church has several elderly congregants who require closer access to the building. And there are also different activities, weddings, funerals, et cetera, that will occasionally require additional parking. A potential solution to this issue would be to allow Church in the Wildwood to place temporary signage, which is allowable in the current code. 2 A-frame signs. Oh, I forgot to check with Jesse. Oh, there's the sign there. It'll be similar to that, similar to green box signs. And cones to be placed in the parking area across from the church, indicating that parking is reserved during services and functions. It would only be placed out as needed and then removed immediately after the function that the parking was required for. I would also ask that on weekends, the trail ambassadors, under the direction of the PRT, assist to guide the parking of outdoor visitors away from that area if the signs are out. And I've already consulted with PRT Chair Jesse Stroop regarding this suggestion of his support. This is not a request for enforcement, only a request for assistance in guiding parking if needed. The primary issue that Church in the Wildwood faces during the outdoor summer season is that most available parking spots across from the church are in use on Sunday mornings and at other times when special functions or events are happening. However, the Church in the Wildwood participants are not in the majority of those users. Providing reserved parking spaces for Church in the Wildwood function and event attendees can increase accessibility for those who may have mobility issues or disabilities. This can reduce the need for attendees to search for a parking spot farther away and improve crosswalk and traffic safety, particularly when crossing the street after evening events. This can also help to make a positive impact on the community that will help enhance and foster positive relationships with the surrounding business community by helping to improve overall pedestrian safety and accessibility. By reserving parking spaces for function and event attendees, the town can ensure that parking is being used effectively and efficiently. My call to action is I encourage the board to inform myself on behalf of Church in the Wildwood of the next steps that would be necessary to take action for an equitable resolution to this issue. And the projected timeline for implementation is as soon as possible after the signs are created. And that's it. And basically, you know, I know there are two philosophies. One is, don't worry about it, just do it, ask for forgiveness later, or ask for permission ahead of time. My philosophy and myself personally is ask for permission first. So thank you for your time.
Yep, thank you for your comment. Would you be setting the signs out Saturday night? That would probably be advisable.
On Saturday nights for
Yeah,
the parking, you know what? Yeah, we could absolutely, we could work out the logistics and figure out who would be available to do that if they aren't available first thing Sunday morning.
because the
So-
concern is that we might get early morning.
Right,
There.
before you guys are even up and
Before
stuff.
we're even up.
Absolutely. No, I understand that. And I know everyone understands
Yeah.
the crunchiness that happens down there for parking, and especially, you know, some of our people, they are frail, and even just walking across the street, even though there's a crosswalk there, cars coming over that hill, it's kind of a blind spot over that hill when you first start coming over it. So
Do we need, I mean, is this something, you know, the code basically.
I
says
understand
temporary
it's
signs are
comment,
allowable.
but
Yeah, I know, we.
yeah,
I know code basically says temporary signs are allowable, if we just kind of all do a thumbs up.
Yeah, I think generally, and in the updated code, I believe that that's a administrative approval that we can give, so.
Right.
All right.
okay.
So we can hook it up on Saturday night for you.
I'd say,
I think that'd be a
I'm
good idea.
fine with it.
Okay.
I'm totally fine with it.
Yeah.
So
Okay, thank you very much.
No action, just administrative. just square it.
administrative.
All right.
Great, thank
All right.
you.
Okay, other commenters. Go internally here first. Not seeing anyone raise their hand. What about on Zoom?
Do I have any public comments from Zoom? I only have a couple of people on Zoom and it seems that I have no public comment.
Okay, if there's no further public comments, we'll move on to our business items. First one is item 5A, Lisa Huizinga, thank you, PRT application.
I think is it, am I wrong, or is that actually fire mitigation application? Is it-
Oh.
I know PRT was.
Oops,
That's some help, but I
it's a
think
fire
it's,
mitigation, isn't it?
yeah,
Yes.
fire mit.
It's for fire mitigation. Thank you for catching that. Yeah. So, yeah.
All
Oh,
right.
she's coming in? Okay, could we go? Okay, could we go to the
I see a
application?
shadow.
Do they go outside more?
No, it's fire.
Here we go.
Yeah, but yeah, go ahead and. Does anyone want to actually see it up on screen or?
Yeah, I'm gonna use, Lisa, we just got your.
It's on,
application
It's on page 5.
approval. Thank you.
You're welcome.
There we go.
Okay, fire mitigation, yes, not PRT.
So right there.
Oops.
Good job. guys.
Yeah.
I do something right.
Any questions, comments?
from trustee members.
Lisa's application was approved unanimously by AFMAC.
If there's no questions, comments, I'd entertain a motion.
Yeah, I would like to motion approval of Lisa Hazenga's Fire Mitigation Advisory Committee application.
A second,
Second,
it's been moved and seconded that we approve Lisa Huzinga's Fire Mitigation Committee application. Approve. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any
You're hired.
opposed? You're hired. That's right.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa.
Thank you for that.
Moving on to item 5B. And this gets into our potential first reading of the ordinance. We did discuss this. We had a couple options that were in front of us tonight during our work session. The original option that came back from the lawyers had requirements in two different places. And so we had them reconfigure it so that we had requirements actually only in one place. And so, yeah, we've kind of accepted what the planning commission, but we felt would be good to modify it to further simplify it.
If I may, real quick too, just a little bit of background for the public here in the audience and on Zoom. This ordinance really is to clean up some inconsistencies that were found as a result of the adoption of the new land use code. So this makes the land use code and the municipal code consistent.
Oh, three? Oh, two. Okay.
There's no particular action on this recommendation, is there? It's just the ordinance. Okay,
First, it would be actually your first reading and introduction of the ordinance.
okay, so we did have to do some last minute adjusting, so I will attempt to, and it's option 2, Bo. I won't read everything, but I will read the section headers and the changed paragraph. So, Town of Green Mountain Falls ordinance number 2023-02 and ordinance amending chapter 6 and 12 of the Green Mountain Falls Municipal Code regarding the regulation of horses. Whereas the town wishes to modify the regulation of horses, especially as it relates to horses in the open space district. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Trustees of the Town of Green Mountain Falls, Colorado, Section 1, Chapter 6, Article 6, Section 6-78 of the Town of Green Mountain Falls Municipal Code is hereby amended to read as follows, and it is per the package. Section 678A7 will read horses as permitted by Section 6-122 of the Green Mountain Falls Municipal Code. Section 2, Article 6, Chapter 6, Article 6 of the Town of Green Mountain Falls Municipal Code is hereby amended to read as follows. Section 6-121, and I'm going to go ahead and read that one. Horses shall only be permitted on property with a lot size of 2 1/2 acres or more as permitted in Table 3-1 of Chapter 12, Article 3 of the Town of Green Mountain Falls Municipal Code. Horses shall be kept in a fenced area set back a minimum of 10 feet from all property lines, except for horses in the open space district or any horse with a permit issued prior to original passage, and we'll go ahead and keep that. Section 6-122 is the amended one from tonight. Horses shall be kept in a suitable fenced enclosure in which said animals shall be restrained, providing a minimum area of 1,500 square feet per animal. Said enclosure shall be located a minimum distance of 75 feet from any neighboring house, dwelling, or place of business. And then we strike what's in the package where it says this section 6-122 shall not apply to horses in open space, because this now basically says if you want horses, you got to have 2.5 acres and 1,500 square feet minimum per animal. Okay, section 3, table 3-1 in chapter 12, article 3 of the town of Green Mountain Falls Municipal Code is hereby amended by the addition of the following new horse keeping use to read as follows. And it's shown up there where it basically says horse keeping as an accessory use in residential and open space areas. Section 4, chapter 12, article 6 of the town of Green Mountain Falls Municipal Code is hereby amended by the modification of the animal shelter definition and the addition of a horse keeping definition to be inserted alphabetically and to read as follows. We basically strike that last line in animal shelter where it was talking rescue horses, and we add horse keeping, the keeping of horses as a customary, incidental, and accessory use to a single family detached dwelling and meeting the applicable requirements of chapter 6, article 6 of the Green Mountain Falls Municipal Code. Section 5, severability is if any section, paragraph, clause, or provision of this ordinance shall for any reason be held to an invalid or unenforceable, the invalidity or enforceability of such action, paragraph, clause, or provision shall not affect any of the remaining provisions of the ordinance. The intent being the same as the intent being that the same are severable. The Board of Trustees finds that the adoption of this ordinance is necessary for protection of health, safety, and welfare of the public. The effective date of this ordinance shall become effective after final approval and adoption on second reading. This is first reading. Introduced and ordered, published this, it'd be whatever we end up with on the second reading, right? Or would it be the first reading? So it'd be 6th day of June, 2023. Yeah, June 6th. Green Mountain Falls, at the Green Mountain Falls Town Hall, Green Mountain Falls Road, Green Mountain Falls, Colorado. And then we'll have a second reading. Yeah. Further on. If there's no, is there any further discussion or questions? And if not, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll motion to approve ordinance 2023-02
As amended.
as amended.
Thank you.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. We approve the first reading of ordinance 2023-02 as amended. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. There we go. Okay, that moves us on to item 5 Delta, which we are tabling for now. And then we continue on to 5E, the right-of-way memo from the board to the PC. This has come up a couple of times, and we've had some further discussions, and I wanted to make sure the board had discussions on this before we agree to send this on the planning commission. So are there any further discussions about this? And can we do this? Is this a consensus or do we have to vote?
I think a consensus is fine.
Okay, I was thinking so too. Everyone thumbs up?
Yeah, so is this going to include anything else that came out of our discussion?
Yeah, I was looking for my notes.
So on discussion items for this, the notes that I have on it are the staging policy to add that time frame, consideration of the impacts to waterways and material setbacks, when possible, consideration of alternate areas, and ensuring that the space is left in a clean.
I think what we were thinking of was maybe another action to the planning commission to evaluate traffic calming around the church. Is that what you're?
Oh, right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
different-
church and just beyond the bridge,
Yes.
the traffic, what do we call it? The street,
Streetscaping
Streetscaping.
concepts and traffic calming
right.
options.
So just beyond the bridge and also the church of the Wildwood. Coming into town.
Okay, since that was a basically consensus item, we'll move on. Our next item is 5F, the Arts and Culture Proclamation, and I'll need to read this from the screen, so. Okay. This is a proclamation. Whoop, you scrolled a little too quickly for me. Proclamation recognizing arts and culture in the town of Green Mountain Falls, whereas arts and culture have played a very important part of the history of Green Mountain Falls, and whereas numerous entities have provided art installations, education, and events in Green Mountain Falls over numerous years. And whereas Green Box Arts is one of these entities, and they have been supporting art, education, installations, and events in Green Mountain Falls for the last 15 years. And whereas the town of Green Mountain Falls has benefited significantly from all of the art installations, education, and events. And whereas the artistic focus in Green Mountain Falls has led to a world-class art installation called the James Terrell Sky Space, which is recognized globally. The Terrell Sky Space exhibit is truly one of a kind of experience and is an unmeasurably good asset for the town of Green Mountain Falls. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the town of Green Mountain Falls Board of Trustees hereby proclaims July 2023 as Art and Culture Appreciation Month. We call upon our citizens to recognize and celebrate the contribution of the arts to our community, dated this 6th day of June 2023 in the town of Green Mountain Falls, Colorado. Again, any questions, comments? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Is this just for this July? Just July 2023, not
Yeah,
every
we typically-
July?
Like, when we get to October, we'll do another one for indigenous peoples
So we do it every year.
every year,
Yeah.
annual.
Oh, okay.
So I'll motion to approve the proclamation recognizing the arts, culture and town of Green Mountain Falls.
Second,
It's been moved and seconded. We approve the proclamation of arts and culture for town of Green Mountain Falls. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, our next item is item 5G, the summer concert series fee waiver for the gazebo.
I have Lisa Bondwell here to present regarding this topic.
Hello, Lisa Bonwell, 10691 Illinois Avenue, Green Mountain Falls. I'm here representing the UPass Chamber of Commerce. And we are planning a music series at the Gazebo Park on Monday evenings, beginning July 9th for 8 weeks. And we would like to ask the board if they would kindly consider waiving the rental fee for a Gazebo Park for those evenings. That's my only request. We will cover any insurance that's needed.
Okay. Did we do this last year as well?
Yes, and we did do it last year.
I
Yes.
think we did
yes.
do it last year.
As we
yeah.
did last year. Yes, sorry.
Discussion, comments? Motions?
I'll motion to approve the gazebo fee waiver. And
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. We approve the fee waiver for the summer concert series for the gazebo. All in favor, say aye.
aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Okay, our next item is item 5H, the tree removal at Flagpole Park. Maybe we ought to kind of read through the memo here. Yeah,
Break.
I've been reading enough.
So we have in front of us a memo from the PRT at their May 17th meeting. The committee members voted unanimously to recommend to the town to remove the tree that is interfering with the flag and the flagpole memorial in Squires Park. Many residents have related their frustration to committee members about the tree damaging the American flag. Judy Laughlin and Margaret Peterson, relatives of those for whom the memorial was installed, have expressed their preference to have the tree removed versus having the memorial moved to prevent interference with the flag. Due to the interference of the tree with the flag is replaced multiple times during the year as it gets damaged by the tree. If the tree is removed, the PRT committee would work with Carla Chapman to design a new planting plan to match the original intent of the memorial.
Questions, comments, discussion? Yeah, if you'd like, please. Please, you'll have to go up to the podium, sorry.
So, yeah, I just want to give a little bit of history regarding the memorial for the one where my dad is at. Originally, when that was placed, they did plant 3 separate trees to represent the 3 gentlemen that are on that memorial. And actually, only one of those trees have survived. And I'm not sure, I haven't looked if that's the one that's really close or if it's a different one that's interfering with the flagpole. But originally there were three trees to represent the 3 gentlemen on that smaller memorial. And then, of course, the flagpole is the memorial for Emmett Peters.
So you'd like to
So-
see the landscape?
I don't know if it really matters or not, but it's just, I mean, originally it was supposed to be 3 and they didn't all survive anyway. So,
Well,
yeah,
It's a nice
just
idea.
some history.
Yeah. Thank you.
If there's no other questions or comments,
Sounds like a good plan.
I'd entertain a motion.
Motion to cut down the tree that's interfering with flagpole and the memorial.
And
And to maybe have the landscape architect work on something that will reflect what it was intended to be, possibly 3 trees.
So
Okay.
basically, as defined here in this memo from Parks Recreation Trails.
yeah, I appreciate how thorough it was. So, yeah, let's support this memo.
Okay, do I have a second? It's been moved.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. We approve removal of the tree by the flagpole in accordance with the Parks Rec and Trail Commission memo. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Our next item is the sales, the shades. The
Sales
shades,
shade.
and the MOU for the fitness court.
So this item was brought forward by the Parks Rec and Trails Committee. They have voted at their meeting unanimously to recommend to the town to install shade sails as presented in the attachments. Since this is a structure on town property, the proposal should go before the Planning Commission. This went before the Planning Commission. This went before the Planning Commission, was also approved by the Planning Commission. Historic Green Mountain Falls Foundation has requested to install the sails for the fitness court to keep the court more accessible in the summer months by providing shade for users of the court. The shade sails would be installed seasonably at the expense of Historic Green Mountain Falls Foundation and would be desert sand color. The sail system could be added to the existing MOU as an additional piece of equipment for the fitness court via a modification to said MOU. You do have that MOU here. So a couple of items that were added to this MOU, the town's responsibility to support would be to help to install and winterize and store the shade sails. And then also a schedule for monitoring the sails for maintenance and safety. Additional items to this MOU under the Kirkpatrick Family Fund would be the initial installation of those sails and any required supportive structures. And then also agreeing to allow the town to request reimbursement for any maintenance expenses to repair or maintain the sales for items that would not be covered under the warranty.
Okay, do we have any questions, comments? I mean, yeah, I don't have any. I mean, it seems to be a nice addition. If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the addition by approving the MOU. Yeah, okay, so I move that we approve the on the topic of the shade sales for the fitness court in Pool Park.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the MOU for addition of the shade sales. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Moving forward, item K and L have been moved back down to reports. And have you heard any more from Andre? Okay. So that moves us on to item 6, discussion items. I thought it'd be good to kind of go over all of our current fire mitigation efforts. I know we have several that are ongoing, both mitigation and Red Cross and CUSP. So we could kind of get a summary and a little update.
Yeah, so I'm gonna tag team with Bo a little bit, but the CUSP project, which is the right-of-way project, is getting ready to kick off. Those areas that are scheduled for or that have been identified for mitigation have been flagged. We have received quite a few owner waivers letters. A couple of folks that absolutely didn't want to participate, so we'll leave an additional buffer around those areas as we expected. But overall, that one's going quite well. Mile High Youth Corps has kicked off. They are back in the area. We're still waiting on their porta potty to go up there. In the meantime, you may see them coming in and out of town hall to use the restroom and the facilities here. Eager group of kids, young people, they're not kids, and happy to have them back. Bo, anything to add on that one?
No, they're doing great. They started last week. Yeah, they're doing great. They started last week, so just getting started. I hiked up there with some snow fence, and we're still closing the portion of the Thomas Trail during the week where, there's saws running and stuff like that. So that's the big news, is that, related corresponding trail closure for that.
And then the Red Cross project, that is a pilot project that was brought to the Fire Mitigation Advisory Committee from Red Cross. So far, we've been, Bo's been keeping a list of folks who have signed up, and I think after today, there were probably 15 or 20 folks on there.
25.
We got to 25. Oh, okay. So is that the number that they were looking for?
Yeah, 25.
Okay. So, we're really just kind of a pass through in this project. We agreed to help collect info from residents that would like to participate. I would very much like to be able to capture folks' experiences as well, so that it could, it's a pilot project. That info will help to fuel additional future projects.
And we've got Chipper Day on the 10th and 11th, but yesterday was the cutoff for
Yes. So
registration.
Chipper Day, we have quite a few folks signed up on that. Of course, it's Green Mountain Falls and Chipeta Park. So that'll go this weekend. We'll actually, the town will borrow the county chipper on Friday and get through some of our piles. Public Works will also be supporting that project and going up and gathering piles that they just can't get the chipper up into because of road constraints. So they'll be doing that on Friday. And then Saturday and Sunday, they will be creating a map to make it through both communities.
Question, the slice that's up at Catamount Falls, are we able to get the
Ooh.
chipper up there?
If not, I'll have them take a look and see if we can get it down, if we can't get the chipper up there.
Okay,
Thanks for the reminder on that one.
Yep.
I think the next chipper day, I believe, will be in September. So that's something to look forward to.
Did we pick a date for that one yet? Not quite. I know that there was quite a bit of,
It's sometime I believe in the September timeframe.
okay.
I
know
don't think
that
there's a
there-
definite date yet.
There's
but
quite
I
a
think
lot of
that's-
availability on that chipper. If we
Mhm.
had the human resources to keep it running, we could certainly keep it running.
Yeah, with John Bell and I, we've been going down to the post office trying to collect names and get people signed up for that Red Cross project and possibly in the future for anybody listening out there, spread the word. We may be trying to start a program, neighbors helping neighbors, getting into people's backyards and just helping mitigate. Because that's, this is like a BB at a freight train. So CUSP and Mile High Youth Corps can make a nice, kind of fire break around the town, but, we got to get in each other's backyards. So, and just help each other out. So that's what we're going to try to do. If you can spread the word.
I absolutely love that neighbors helping
Yeah,
neighbors
I
thing.
think it's going to be brilliant. I think it's going to bring a lot of people together. They never would have known each other either, anyways. And I think we get a lot done.
And we'll see in coming up in correspondence. We did not get the grant to try to help train.
Right.
That is something that personally I'd be willing to support, maybe chipping in some money from the town to help getting people trained.
Right.
I'd probably want some commitment in return. But yeah, the neighbor helping neighbor thing, I just love that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty brilliant. I think it's going to go really well. I think maybe some time ago, Becky and I were talking about possibly, I think down Office of Emergency Management, El Paso County may have some safety type programs in which we, so it didn't work out with the grant, but maybe we could piggyback off of some training down there and get people certified. But the most important thing is, even if we're not chainsawing things, I mean, if you've got a Baco Laplander, handsaw, and you're schlepping around these people's backyards, I mean, I was just doing that today. I'm not using a chainsaw. I'm using silky, saws and Laplander Bacos and cutting stuff down just by hand. So it doesn't need to be anything crazy, if we're knocking down stuff 6 inches in diameter, you get 12 people, 6 people, for an hour, there's a lot of stuff you can just, it's too easy. So I think we can really make some progress in this town with that.
And then obviously we learn from whatever they give us feedback on and we try to do better.
Yeah.
So
spread the word if you can.
Yep.
Rick. Okay. Need all the bodies we can get.
Yeah.
Able bodies.
Okay, is that it for item 6? Moving on to item 7, obviously, we kind of touched on one of these already, the FMAC grant we did not get. And we also did not receive the mini grant from the recycling. Yeah, and again, we'll try again.
And with both of these, really the funders of the world are finding out that as the world reemerges from COVID, there's a lot of projects that are getting submitted. And so that's really just playing catch up. It's pretty competitive grant environment right now, but we'll keep trying.
Yep. I got one question about that. Any indication how many of those grants were approved? Like how many they give out every year? This is an annual thing.
Most of these are annual programs or new programs. There's definitely a lot of new programs and funding sources available for fire mitigation. That's, in response to events that have occurred.
Right.
So I expect that there'll continue to be funding for fire mitigation. Heard some info today on some additional programs that are being launched through the Department of the Interior and in partnership with National Park Service.
Mhm.
So I'll let you know when I find out more on those.
So it shouldn't change the footprint at all of what we're putting down on Oak Street. It should still.
Oh, no, that's a complete, it's a complete separate project. That's a CPW funded project
Right.
down on Oak Street for the human bear conflict
Right.
reduction grant. There will still be space there to be able to go back in after the fact with the recycling
All right, cool.
station. It just made it a lot smoother to do both projects at once.
Right, okay. So the infrastructure will be there for that.
Okay, any other discussion on item number 7? If not, we'll move on to item number 8A, our reports. First up is town marshal.
I'm gonna do my best. The marshal is a very eloquent speaker and I'm not. Well, I'll see what I can do here. He usually does a little additional presentation. I'm just gonna show this and kind of move on, but this is documenting the number of calls and the nature of the call, as well as assists to other agencies and just kind of a snapshot of what those guys are up to.
You have one, I did talk to Marshall Goings today. Deputy Starks has completed about 95% of his FTO training. So we can expect to have him be unleashed here in the next couple of weeks. We'll see him primarily evenings and weekends.
So we're looking like full-time, starting July, was that
Well,
correct?
he's part-time.
He's
Well,
part-time.
I know he's part-time right now, but like, is that going to be changing in July? I remember there was some.
We'll need to
discussion.
crunch some numbers.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
Okay, next up is trustee reports, and I'll start down on my left with trustee Guthrie,
I have nothing to report. Thank you.
trustee Ives,
Nothing, thanks.
trustee Donzello.
Nothing to report.
Okay, mine's lengthy, so just bear with me. I actually wrote it. Okay. First, I'd like to personally thank all of the town's volunteers, whether it be a town committee, sweat equity, or the gift of time. This town cannot survive without you. There's been so much that has been so neglected for so long that without the volunteer workforce, this town will not be able to overcome the neglect on the assets. I encourage everyone to volunteer in whatever capacity you can. It is very fulfilling and it builds the community. Thank you volunteers. Now report on our pool. I have a little bit of show and tell. It's on the desk. That is a chunk of the pool floor. And what we would do, we'd basically tap around and try to find hollow spots. But I can tell you, I pulled that one out. Once I did the cuts, all it took was about one strike with the chisel, and that whole thing just came right out. There's almost like it's just almost like sand underneath, under that piece. Other pieces, we were having to basically almost jackhammer, but that one just popped right out. And so there were numerous weak spots, numerous patches, approximately 425 pounds of patch. And more is needed. There are still areas in the floor of the pool. And if you go and look at the pool, you can see some spider webbing and it basically looks like veins. Those are target areas that in the fall, we're probably going to have to go in and try to see if we can cut out and repatch. We did have to do some plumbing repairs. There was the drain was plugged. That was a very exciting time. If you heard a bang earlier like last week, we were trying to pressurize it, trying to get the blockage out, and the section of pipe actually exploded. No one seriously injured, fortunately. Two of us were pretty close to it. The boiler. It needs to be replaced within the next 2 years. They did pass legislation restricting what appliances can be purchased. Initially, it was leaking. As things have heated up, the leaks have slowed down a little. But if we're going to replace it and still stay with natural gas, that needs to happen within 2 years. Because otherwise we'll probably have to go to an electric boiler. And yeah, I'm not too thrilled with that. It is filled. We are stabilizing the chemicals. We're hoping to reach 76-degree water temperature by tomorrow night. And then I know an individual has been working very diligently trying to get things cleaned up as far as the chairs and whatnot. So we are anticipating and actually planning an opening Friday, 10 a.m. So hopefully we don't have any other surprises. Yeah. Okay, so the pool well, we actually had the vacuum truck come and clean it out. It is not collapsed. Today we ordered a new pump and we'll see if we can't get that pump put in and plumbed in and hopefully plumbed in correctly. And so we could then use it for filling the pool and potentially even filling our water truck, but it may take an hour to fill the water truck. It might take longer, but that's our well, it's our water. We don't have to pay for it. Yeah, some good news in there. So yeah, the new pump, we found some very expensive pumps. I mean, usually if you have a pump that's down deep in a well, you go with the high-end ones. We could buy 7 to 10 cheap ones for the price of one of the high-end ones. And so we're going to try the cheap one and see what happens. It was under $200. So we'll see what happens. Let's see. There's some legislative items that have passed. I think a lot of people received something in the mail regarding this HH proposition. I will also tell you that as a board, we may have the option, because supposedly in 2 days, if the governor doesn't sign it, there would be another option that we could actually temporarily reduce mill levies without having to go to a vote. And so what that would mean is if we, as a board, want to, we could drop it back. Normally, to do anything with mill levies, it's got to go to the voters. But this would allow us to temporarily drop it back. And then if we need to raise it back up to the same level as what we had without having to go to the voters. So we'll have to get, again, legal clarification on that, but it is another option. So yeah, I'll tell you right now, I'm not a fan of this HH. I think they're trying to get your basically Tabor tax refund. And there's other ways to do it. We can lower mill levies, lower percentages. This is just a way for the state to keep money. So that's the end of my report. And as soon as my screen comes back, clerk and manager reports.
Yeah, so I've just got my ongoing tasks here. I've just been busy trying to keep up. Things have picked up a little bit with walk-ins and phone traffic as the summer has rolled around. Couple of new STRs, spaces have opened up. So there's applications in the works. Been working with a couple of those owners, and we're there with the DOLA audit. Should be on the home stretch and having a presentation to you guys here shortly. I've had a couple more Quora requests. These things kind of eat my lunch. It takes a while. It's really legal. You got to be careful, and sometimes I have to reach out to other departments here.
Yeah, but it's required. We have to do it.
I have to, yeah, it's
Yep.
not, believe me, it's because I have to do it.
Yep.
So I got another one today, and that's kind of the curveball that happens sometimes. Another thing that I've been working on, I'm gonna have a bunch of correspondence coming to you guys. I'm gonna shift gears and be the treasurer for a second. I'm gonna have a lot of correspondence coming to you guys about Calo Trust. In a nutshell, we have a bunch of money in an account that makes no money. I think we get like 0.1%. We have some better options in place already, and we can just move money into that. So I've got Brett Parsons coming from Colo Trust to present to you on the 18th. And I'm going to send you a lot of related docs ahead of that, just to get the most out of that meeting and hopefully improve, capture more interest, but that we're not capturing now with our money.
What's it looking like currently as far as the interest?
So Colo Trust, they have a calculator on there, and I'll share that with you, but
Okay.
I ran some numbers per 100,000, so like if you had 100 grand in this account that we already have for all of 22, what that would have looked like. And their average, they're netting 5% returns. So it's significantly
yeah.
higher. We're, it's thousands of dollars, especially annually when you consider our entire, holdings. And
Sounds like pool maintenance right there.
so, yeah, and you guys will
Alright.
have to decide what you do with all that money.
Yeah.
But, anyway,
It's
I'll
great.
send that your way.
We need a
and
boiler.
that'll be a more of a future discussion, but that whole picture was brought to my attention. I talked to the accountant about a month ago, and it's taken a minute to kind of figure out that account, reach out to them, get a grip on what's going on with that. I also reached out to Park State Bank to try to improve our interest rate. Like maybe I can just ask for more money.
Nice.
That didn't work.
Yeah.
And so, it's on to the next step. So I've been working on it.
Did you initiate this yourself?
Well, Brian was our accountant,
And he-
and it
Well, thank
started
you,
with
though.
a conversation, he gets here early, so it's kind of
Okay.
like a pre-work conversation, and it sort of snowballed, from there. So anyway, I'm working on it, but nothing actionable yet, and I'm hoping to have a plan and be able to pitch that in the
Well,
form.
that's great. Thanks for your efforts, man. That's
Soon,
great.
yeah, no, it'll be good, I think, to
Nice.
do more with that. So, yeah, that's all I got for now.
Next.
All right, so off of the rolling projects roster, Stilling Basin complete almost. It has been hydro seeded. We're kind of looking to see if those hydro seeds, if they've germinated. It was still looking pretty brown down there when I drove by earlier. So we are meeting on that at the site tomorrow to look at that. There's also a grate that needs to be installed outside of that. It's pretty well done outside of cleanup. Want to thank the volunteers that have been active in identifying some potential alternatives to that guardrail. And then the Stilling Basins or the Comprehensive Roads Plan, our other big project right now, is still in progress. The contractor has supplied Public Works with some prioritized project plans for some minor road repairs, but it really, outside of, resurfacing those big expensive ticket items, comes down to the maintenance of drainage systems. So we did make some progress last week. They brought in the vac truck and were able to shoot and clear out several of the culverts in town. That should help. We have had some equipment maintenance that needed to occur in order to be able to maintain those culverts. Once they're clear, they do need to be cleaned out and the area up above them prepped and below so that water's going where it needs to be. So we do have the skid steers currently down. It's kind of our primary piece of equipment for doing some of that road maintenance. We'll have the part in tomorrow to be able to fix it. It's been leaking in a couple of different spots. One was a hydraulic arm that was leaking, and then it did have another leak. I'm not sure what it was, but
The accumulator.
the accumulator. So hope to have that back in service tomorrow so that we can jump on some of the roads, because I know that they are getting pretty rutted around town. Have had several folks call in. We do have that position still posted and open on the town website for a Public Works equipment operator. We still have our interim contract employee on board. And are exploring some additional opportunities to do some catch-up work with some other contract folks if need be, but would prefer to certainly fill that position with a full-time employee. They have been working to patch potholes using those millings. It looks like they're holding up quite well in the pool area right now. Really hopeful that that'll help to keep the pool building clean. But time will tell as to how well they hold up. The Public Works yard is looking really great. If you've had a chance to drive by there, it's a noticeable difference. It's looking pretty good. And they have completed a pretty long laundry list of identified maintenance repairs at the parks and facilities that needed to be accomplished. As I said, we had various equipment repairs this month. I think we're still waiting on the grader windows, but the roller starter has been fixed. And we're working on the skid steer leaks. Like I said, like as Bo said, we are wrapping up our audit, we're just waiting on the auditor now to give us a date for your presentation. So they are required to present that final audit report to you all each year. They work with several small communities, so I would like to ask for your flexibility with some times and dates when they make those available. We did get our PPRTA maintenance reimbursement request submitted. We did have some unspent carryover that was not utilized in 2022 that can be allocated to the 2023 budget, and probably mostly spoken for with these equipment repairs that needed to occur. That CPW Human Bear Conflict Grant, we are, you may have noticed that the 4 trees behind the post office on Oak Street have been removed. They are getting ready to do some stump grinding. A little bit of a change to that project. We hadn't originally bid out the stump grinding because it was something that we believed that Public Works could handle. They've just got too much on their plate right now. So the contractor will be doing that stump grinding.
And they would have to have additional equipment.
Yeah.
There was an equipment issue as well. So it's like, yeah, no.
Once that occurs, we'll start doing that site prep. We did have the contractor, we were able to get the price down on that tree removal if we chipped our own slash. So making double use of that county chipper. And then we'll be able to start working on the fun stuff for that project. As we noted before, the CDPHE grant for the recycling area was not funded. The lifeguards for the pool, we do have our lead guard who's been onboarded. We do have another applicant that will be interviewing tomorrow. So I believe that we're in pretty good shape for
Can we announce his name?
Oh, this would be Blake.
Blake. Okay.
He is also employed by Woodland Park Aquatic Center, so he's got a lot of support there that we can benefit from as far as getting, revised standard operating procedures, and I'm thrilled to be working with him. I left that on there from last time, that emergency evacuation tabletop exercise. We will have a full-scale exercise this fall, likely in October. So we're working to do some additional community planning. That will actually be a full-scale exercise that will include the Ute Pass corridor. So pretty exciting.
Well, we've got that meeting on Thursday, I think, early in the morning. So
yeah, and then we've got working on that update to the continuity of operations plan, our COOP plan. Trustee Donzello, I may have some help for you on that one.
that's great.
Outside of that, I haven't yet had the opportunity to embarrass our intern, Ian Horton. It is his last day today. He has completed his hours with the town. So it was great having an extra set of hands in the office. I know that he did wonders in helping keep Bo and I organized with all the moving parts that are here. So thanks, Ian. Really appreciate it. Let me double check my note. Got it. Nailed it.
Do we want to tentatively try to target our next meeting? Because we're not going to have one on July 4th.
So we do have in the works, scheduled meeting for the 18th of July. I think really the ball's in the court of the auditors right now. There's certainly some other things that we can pop onto that agenda, but we think we'll have to have a 15-day notice for our
Ordinance.
ordinance, so we could try to shoot for the 27th.
And that
Oh,
could
no,
just
we
be,
cannot. You'll be at CML.
Hmm?
You'll be at Colorado Municipal.
we could look at a Zoom only.
We could look at a Zoom only or a different day of the week. I think that you guys would be back by the 29th.
Yeah. I'd say let's target a Zoom only for 27th. I mean, it'll be an evening. We can, as long as we can get on internet.
Let me double check with the auditors and I'll
Okay.
send something out with some tentative dates from them.
CML starts the 25th, correct?
Yeah. Well, I think we're going up to 26th. 27th coming back to 28th, I think.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And as far as the remaining items on your agenda, I have not yet heard from Andre. I did give you a small report. If he sends out a written report of those two items, I will forward it to you as correspondence and we'll have it back on your agenda for the next
Okay.
meeting.
Okay, that's it. If there's any last minute items gone, it is 8:02. We are adjourned.